Birgitte, you have 2 or 3 minutes to send out your stall on the future of the office. That's the theme of tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for coming here tonight. And the future of the office is clearly the office in 2025. And I thought by then everybody would have lost their jobs, so there would not be anyone here. So it's good to see that we're all here. So I would like to welcome everyone to our party. And I also want to say that we are very, very delighted that we have become the secretariat for the all-party parliamentary group on artificial intelligence. And we are very, very delighted for several reasons, because we always have been about disruptive technologies and the future. And also we truly believe that innovation and technology and AI is transforming business and society with high costs, low cost, high speed transformation of the way in which office work and supply chains are done, etc. So we're very delighted that we have so many who want to join us on this revolution. And we got the Parliament on our side as well. And I want to say that Stephen Metcalfe and Tim Clement-Jones are a fantastic chairs to be working with on this here. And because of this, we are actually able to do much more. And also our sponsors are fantastic here, and all our experts we work with and our community. So this is going to be growing in the next couple of years. The other last thing I want to say is that Big Innovations, that I was also very delighted because we're actually playing a little part in this game. And we have are now prototyping an intellectual property exchange for high-speed, low-cost trading in the way in which intellectual property and technology is traded via automation. So this is one area where we are playing. The other part we are playing is in reporting on intangibles. We have something we call the Purposeful Company project, and it was actually referred to 6 times in the recent Select Committee report on corporate governance coming out of the Department of Business, Energy and the Industrial Strategy. 6 times we were referred to 2 weeks ago, and in that report. And the other last thing I want to say is that also we are looking into auditing intangibles, because companies, high-growth companies, have a lot more intangibles than non-high growth, and we are working a lot with both reporting intangibles at the corporate level, but also at the level of our sectors and regions and places. So I will stop here, but just to say, if you want to participate more, we have this here where you see the whole program of the APPG AI for this year, and here you can see what we're doing at the Big Innovation Center. Thank you.
For connoisseurs of Birgitte's speeches, and I can tell you that was short. Now, Stephen Metcalfe, where are you? You have the microphone.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, good evening, everyone. As you know, I'm Stephen Metcalfe. I'm a Member of Parliament for South Basildon and East Thurrock, 30 miles east of here. Well, I am for the time being. We've had a complicated week. So, unfortunately, some of the activity of the all-party parliamentary group for artificial intelligence might have to be curtailed for a few weeks while we get the unpleasantness of a general election out of the way. All-party parliamentary groups exist purely and simply to allow members of Parliament and members of the House of Lords to pursue areas of interest. And Tim and I both have a keen interest in science, technology, but particularly following a discussion we had over dinner one night in the area of artificial intelligence. And that is how we came about to create this group, to look at its impact, what the ongoing challenges might be, and we were very fortunate in finding the Big Innovation Centre and Birgitte to help act as secretariat for that. So here we are tonight to discuss what is the future of the office party. Well, there's no doubt that artificial intelligence, AI, is going to have a huge impact on all of our lives as we move forward, and I suspect including the office party. And there are 2 views. There are 2 views. One is the apocalyptic view that by 2025, 2030, 50% of jobs as we know it will have disappeared. We'll be facing mass unemployment, and if not mass unemployment, mass underemployment. We're going to be facing mass disruption, that we'll face change like we have never seen before. And it will change the very nature of humanity and of society. And on the other hand, of course, there is a more positive view, probably one that I subscribe to, that AI will augment humanity, will allow us to do things that we have never done before, will create opportunities that we have yet even to begin to understand, as we have seen with every previous industrial revolution. So I think there is a future. And I suspect that the reality between the apocalyptic view and the overly positive view lies somewhere in between. And if we proceed with a degree of caution and bring people along with us, I see no reason why this will not be not only a benefit for the United Kingdom, but the benefit for the world. And remember that it is highly unlikely that artificial intelligence will ever replace the truly human traits that we all have come to possess and rely on over the billions of years that we have evolved from a small cell in the sea to where we are now. The love, the empathy, the sociability. We are a social and empathetic species, and that will never be replaced, in my view, completely by technology. But that's not to say that we are not facing huge change, and we have to take that change with us. But we will rise, I believe, and overcome any of the challenges and reap the benefits of what will happen. So, the future of the office party. I think we can all agree it is safe for now as we look around this room. But when I think we do need to worry is that when your artificially enabled smartphone is found sitting on the photocopier taking copies of its homepage, then is the time to worry. Enjoy tonight. Thank you.
Stephen, thank you very much. Next up is Professor Susskind, who made a couple of remarks this afternoon, which I thought was rather... First of all, he said that the 2020s is going to be the era not of unemployment, but redeployment. And he also made a telling remark, too, for those of us who are involved in the personal company project, in particular accounting for intangibles, and how the accounts profession is going to have to reinvent itself. But only have we got to be clever about how we account for intangibles. We're going to do it not every year, but actually in real time using artificial intelligence. And for me, that was a light bulb moment. Richard, you have the microphone and a couple of minutes to set out your stall.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In 1996, I wrote a book called The Future of Law. And in that book, I made a remarkable claim, and that was that the dominant way that lawyers and clients would come to communicate in the future would be by email. And at the time, the Law Society of England and Wales, I kid you not, said I shouldn't be allowed to speak in public, which is possibly true. They said I didn't understand confidentiality and security. They said I was bringing the legal profession into disrepute by saying that. Now, this was just over 20 years ago, and we've come so far now, and yet we're at a period of greater acceleration. My interest is in the future of the professions, in doctors and lawyers and other high-powered white-collar workers. I've written a book with my son, who's an economist, called The Future of the Professions, and we see two futures for the professions in relation to technology. The first is when technology streamlines and improves the traditional ways of working, and we're seeing a lot of that already. The second is far more radical, and that's when technology actually takes on some of the tasks of human beings. And this is what takes us into the field of artificial intelligence. And I wrote my doctorate in AI and law in the 80s. And so there's a little bit of, for me, there's a great nostalgic moment as more and more people are interested in this area of AI. And the arguments of our book are fairly straightforward. Forget terms like AI. Just think that our machines are becoming increasingly capable. No one in Silicon Valley is dusting their hands off and saying, job done. Almost every day we hear of a new application or a new breakthrough. So machines are taking on more and more tasks than in the past we used to think only human beings could take on, intelligent human beings. But many people say, we've been here before. In various other revolutions, new technologies come along, but new jobs arise. And that will be true for a while, but in due course, machines will take on these new jobs as well. And that's what's different about this set of changes. So what does this mean? It means in the 20s, you really have a very simple decision in your organization and in your own careers. You either decide to compete with machines or you build the machines. By competing with the machines, you'll be forwarding this kind of argument. You will say, I hear everything about AI, but there's still a lot that human beings can do that machines can never do. And that's where I want my career to be, or that's where I want my business to be. Now that slice of the cake, it seems to me, is diminishing. It's a brave decision to say that in the late 20s, you'll be competing effectively with machines. But all isn't lost, because the alternative is to build the machines. And in law and medicine and education and tax and audit and elsewhere, all the solutions that clients will want will be technology-based solutions, and it will need, at least in the 20s, a new breed of professional to build these systems. And that's why I say the 20s will not be a decade of unemployment, it will be a decade of redeployment. We have to build a whole new workforce who can build the systems that will solve the problems that historically were the unique preserve of professional workers. This calls for a great change in our educational system. We're currently generating 20th century graduates for 21st century work. We are essentially teaching human beings to do things that machines can already do better than us, the acquisition of large bodies of knowledge. So the pressure on redeployment, I think, is a great one. It worries me, and not taking a position on the substance of the decision, but it worries me, and Stephen and I perhaps don't agree on this, that during the decade of greater technological progress than the world has ever seen, a decade during which our economy could take a lead in redeployment, in building these new systems, I'm afraid a great deal of people, and particularly people at the helm in this country, will be preoccupied with Brexit. So this is a huge challenge for all of us who are committed to AI to make sure we commit the energy that's needed to ensure that we redeploy better than others. Looking into the 30s, finally, in the 30s and 40s beyond, we find it very hard, in all the studies we did across 8 professions, we find it very hard to avoid the conclusion there'll just be less and less for human beings to do. And some people can view this positively, some people can view this negatively, but it does raise fundamental policy issues, long-term policy issues that I hope the group will address. What does a world look like when work isn't a dominant feature of human beings' lives? How do we make decisions as to the moral limits of machines? Are there any areas where we think machines can do a better job than us, but we don't want them to go? Turning off a life support system, perhaps passing a life sentence, areas where we think we still have to have human beings involved. And the biggest one of all, who owns and controls the data, the intellectual property, the systems that will underpin all the great performance in our economy? Just now it's concentrated in a very few hands, a very few organizations. So we have some practical economic and educational issues for the 20s about redeploying, and longer term, but now's the time to start thinking about them, we've got some very challenging policy issues. Thank you.
Birgitte and I were chewing the cud one evening with Michael Harte, who's the Group Innovation Head of Barclays, and we'd had this invitation to express an interest in being the Secretary of the All-Parliamentary Group on Artificial Intelligence. Birgitte was saying, I don't know, have we got the resource to do it? It'd be great to do it. And Michael said, I'll help that. And actually, he gave us the confidence to do what we're doing, and in many respects, tonight and what you're experiencing is a result of that. So, Michael, the microphone is yours.
I don't have a speech, I have a toast. And my toast is to Douglas Engelbart. And for those of you that know of Douglas Engelbart, he was the inventor of the mouse. You think, well, the mouse is quite clunky technology nowadays. We can do this with a screen and have a wonderful interactive experience. But the quest for the mouse was to free us from the keyboard. And the open design was for improving the interface between humanity and the machine so that we could advance as a species. We could evolve faster and leave mundane tasks to the machine to free us up to pursue the higher causes. And what more to be after, this artificial intelligence to free us from our natural stupidity. So of course the answer was yes, when we said let's get together and try and figure this thing out. Because we're in a race. We're in a race against the machine. The technium has in many ways taken over, and we're struggling to keep up with it. So if one of the results of the all-party review can be this opening and sharing of data, enriching of that data through algorithms, that we can understand our economy better, we can provide for better jobs into the future, have a more flexible and fair workplace, then we will have helped in that vision of Douglas Engelbart and having a better interface between the human and the machine. So I'd love to see in the second machine age, this fourth industrial revolution, Great Britain leading the way in quantum AI, and the amount of investment that comes from the public and private purse going into perhaps inventing the first universal gate computer where we see superposition and entanglement answering some of the bigger problems that we have to solve to redress inequality. So hopefully this APPG comes up with some very learned decisions and we get some real work from it and we go after this second machine age with gusto. Thank you.
I'm a consistent supporter of the Big Innovation Centre over the years. We've been going for 6 years now. There's an Innovate UK, and they've been lucky to have Dr. Ruth McKernan as their CEO over the last 18 months. She's had a real switchback ride. She joined as CEO, and it was going to be all systems go. The election was won, if you remember, by David Cameron. Gosh, that seems such a long time ago now. Anyway, it was austerity economics big time, and actually Sajid Javid, who's business secretary, was very cautious about Innovate UK and its works. The referendum happened. Mrs. May took over. Greg Clark and Philip Hammond decided that actually innovation and the support for innovation and the structures and systems that have been put in place by the coalition government were really worthwhile breathing new life into. And she stuck to it, and she has stayed at the helm through thick and through thin, and now she's piloting Innovate UK into the sunlit uplands, we hope. Let us see, Ruth. A lot of people here are beneficiaries of Innovate UK's grants and support, and we're very interested to hear what you have to say about the future of the office.
Well, thank you. Yes, and like one of the earlier speakers, I misread this as the office party of the future, and I'm not that good on office parties. But when I looked at it again, I thought, no, it's not that at all. It's now the office of the future party. But I don't want to make too many judgments about that one either. So actually, for inspiration, I thought I should turn to my speech of last year, and actually just to echo what you said there, Will, I had 8 minutes last year to talk about all the exciting things that had happened, the biggest one of which was 165 million of our grants was going to be muted or transmuted into loans, and I couldn't find 8 minutes of excitement out of that. So I gave a very short and somewhat subdued speech. Now this year I have 3 minutes and a lot of really exciting things to talk about, beginning with the Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund. So my team, and I want to say a big, big thank you for my team, who started working on a challenge fund in July of last year, which started off as the Innovate UK Challenge Fund. It became the UKRI Challenge Fund, and wow, were we excited when it was announced in the autumn statement, 4.7 billion for the Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund. Now, we don't get all of that money, but I don't mind. Even a couple of billion is good enough for us. So we've been working diligently on what these challenges are. The first 3 of them were mentioned in the budget earlier this year, and hopefully we will get some more information announced on them shortly. Obviously, they have a lot to do with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we already know that there's going to be additional funding for robotics, there's going to be additional funding for batteries used in autonomous vehicles, absolutely artificial intelligence, and in manufacturing, innovative manufacturing for medicines in the future. And again, a huge amount of machine learning in how to produce molecules without actually doing every experiment, doing it in silico and learning from that. So a lot of machine learning in that too. I would say, wouldn't I, that Innovate UK has been funding companies in artificial intelligence for years. We're 10 years old. One of the very first companies we funded was SwiftKey, and what they use is machine learning for predictive text, one of our very first and very successful investments. Since then, 8,000 companies, for every pound spent, £7.30 returned in GVA, and I could go on at length about the many businesses that have AI at their heart that we funded. My background is in healthcare, so I'm most excited about the idea that you can have your cancer diagnosed in completely new ways and with higher veracity than a human can do. We funded a company that is using machine learning to understand whether your antidepressant drug is going to work before you know it's going to work. These are great opportunities for the future. I can't be more excited. I know I've taken more than 3 minutes, but I don't care. It's worth it. Thank you.
Now, Krishna, who's speaking for Infosys? Infosys, you here? Good man. You can introduce yourself. Infosys have been a great supporter of the personal company. Precondition for all of this is trust in business. Big supporter of that and big supporter of our work in AI. You have the microphone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Devesh, Darshan. As I was introduced, from Infosys. Those who don't know us, we are a consulting company and we provide technology services and products across the globe. So one of our CEO is a big AI enthusiast, and we have products now coming out with AI, and we are the one who are seeing this hit the ground running from day one, right? So we did a survey, and I brought a printout of that so that I can share with you as to what AI is causing the problem on day-to-day basis to people, how they react, the CEOs, etc. So there is what surveys revealed was there is a clear link between AI investment and AI growth and the revenue growth of the company. So whichever company is investing more on AI has a higher growth potential. Obviously, there are a lot of ethical concerns, job-related, etc., that is happening. And the last one was, while AI is making it more efficient and less people to be there, still 84% of the job workforce was redeployed, and every company had a plan for doing that. So I just wanted to mention that here, that everybody is worried about it and doing it, but at the same time, AI is there to augment human potential. It is there to help us do more. I have seen it working on the ground with our clients, where we have been able to take in loads amount of structured and unstructured data and make it understand and do things much faster than a human can do, and help the clients take decisions or understand what they can eliminate or automate pretty quickly. So it definitely helps us. At the same time, purposeful AI should be our motto. And that's why we are very happy to be part of this big innovation center. And our president, Mohit Joshi, is a regular contributor and attendee of the Purposeful Company Forum that Birgitte runs. On the note, I'll say thank you very much for having me here. Cheers.
You've been a brilliant audience, The AI in my iPhone actually has algorithms. It serves me up albums that are for you. Some of you may have it at the Apple. And it served me up Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band over the weekend, actually, which I thought was testimony to my musical taste. But you are such a lovely audience. I'd love to take you home with us. You remember that? I heard it for the first time in 35 years on Sunday afternoon. Anyway, so finally, this brilliant audience, and you've been fantastically kind of engaged in our speakers. I want you to listen to Professor Mike Wooldridge, who is head of the Computer Science Department at the University of Oxford, voted the best AI department in Europe. He's the author of the about-to-be-published Ladybird book on AI. He's president of the International Association of AI. He, in some respects, is walking AI. He's also an exceptionally nice man and president of the Senior Common Room of Hertford College, Oxford, which, as some of you may know, is my college. Mike, you have the microphone.
Thanks, Will. I'm going to ignore the brief completely and tell you a joke. It's an AI joke, so you can judge for yourself whether or not it's very funny. So, here we go. So, there's a farmer, and he farms chickens. And he has the biggest, grandest chicken farm in all of Cambridgeshire. And they have thousands of chickens and chicken sheds that go on for miles, and he employs 10,000 people in his chicken farm. And there's only one thing that this farmer is more proud of than his chicken farm, and that's his only son, Johnny. And it is his fervent wish that when the farmer retires, that little Johnny will then take the helm of the chicken farm and run the chicken farm to greater glory. And so this is his fervent wish, and he brings little Johnny up in this hope. And then one day he says to him, "So Johnny, when are you going to take over the farm?" And Johnny says, "Dad, I've got something to tell you." He says, "I want to be an AI researcher." His dad naturally is devastated. "Why would you want to throw your life away being an AI researcher?" says his dad, the farmer. And he says, "But Dad, look, I can go and I can do AI research and I can bring it back to the farm, and I can optimize our farm. I can make our farm better. I can make it the greatest chicken farm that ever has been or ever will be." So his dad, convinced by this argument, which is the kind of argument that AI researchers frequently use in grant proposals, his dad is convinced, and so little Johnny goes off to Stanford University, where he does his undergraduate degree in AI, and then he goes off to MIT, where he does his PhD in AI, and then he studies some more as a postdoc. And finally, little Johnny comes back to the chicken farm, and he says, "Dad," he says, "you're going to be so excited at what I've got to tell you." And so his dad, the farmer, collects the entire workforce, all 10,000 of them, in one of these big empty sheds. And he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present my son," he said, "and he's going to tell us about how AI is going to change our business." And so little Johnny stands up in front of all of these people, much as I'm standing up in front of you, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to imagine a perfectly spherical chicken." I didn't say it was a funny joke. That was the punchline, in case you were waiting for it. All jokes, if they have any kind of humor at all, have some sort of inner truth. And what is the inner truth there? The inner truth there is that for a long time, AI could only cope with perfectly spherical chickens. It couldn't cope with wonky, messy, real-world chickens. Or to put it another way, AI was really unsuccessful at coping with the complexity of the real world. And the reason that there's a boom in AI now, the reason that it's big business, is that AI is learning to cope with the complexity of the real world. And that's why things are changing dramatically, and that's why there is so much buzz and so much excitement about AI currently. It's because we can finally cope with real-world chickens and not just perfectly spherical chickens. Okay, so I have many other profound things to say, but I don't see why you should get those for free. You'll need to buy my book. Will already mentioned, you stole my punchline, Will already mentioned that I am the extraordinarily proud author of a forthcoming Ladybird book on artificial intelligence. You may have seen the Ladybird series. They've rebooted this series, and I got invited to write the one on AI, which I've done with great pride. And my wife thinks it's really funny that, after I got to be a professor at Oxford at the age of 46 or something, after working really, really hard, and she said that should be the crowning moment of achievement in your life, but why are you more excited about writing the Ladybird book of AI? But I am. And so one of the lovely things about these books is that they are really well illustrated, and I get asked to make suggestions about the illustration. And tonight I have been inspired for the front cover of the forthcoming Ladybird book on AI. And I think I would ask you to imagine, in the style of a Soviet revolutionary poster, or possibly a North Korean revolutionary poster, Mr. Stephen Metcalfe MP and Mr. Will Hutton leading the all-party parliamentary group on AI to the truth of AI. So if you just fix that, I think that would make a wonderful front cover. Stephen, no doubt, carrying a union flag, and Will carrying the banner of the big innovation centre behind them. So, that book, in all seriousness, I hope will be out in time for Christmas. But if you have a glass in your hands, I will, and you are cordially invited to buy copies for your friends, family, and children, and it's okay if you read it as well. But I will, before leaving, I will just ask you, if you have a glass in your hands, to raise a toast, and the toast is to wonky chickens. Thank you. Wonky chickens.
Mike, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, well, look, that is the speech is over. You would like to hear, but I would like to say one thing actually. And it was Stephen Metcalfe has said it, and I know Stephen Clement Jones thinks it too. Richard Clement Jones thinks it too, and that is how the energy behind this all-parliamentary, the secretaryship of the all-parliamentary group, has been driven very much by my colleague, our colleague. Birgitte Andersen, who's done a fabulous job, actually, laying on the speakers, organising it all, and driving it forward. Birgitte, congratulations. So, raise a glass to AI and a fantastic future. Okay, thank you all. Thank you all. Raise a glass. Let's go. Let's do it. Okay.